everyone, it is me. Now, I know I just leapt on and then I disappeared, but I've been having technical trauma. So bear with me a moment while I just see what is occurring at the back of my phone that has decided that it doesn't want to play ball tonight. Oh my goodness, Hannah, it's all having a little moment here. Oh, my goodness, it was not happening, let me tell you. It was really not happening. Right, so this is a delight. I was just having a little record and then, I don't know, Facebook decided tonight that they weren't going to record it for some reason, but here we are again. So sorry if you leapt on thinking I'd leapt on and then I disappeared, but I'm back again. And I know we're at a bit of a weird angle because my phone has just fallen out. So let's just take you down there. Oh, it could all go badly wrong. Right, so how are you all? I hope that you have had a great week. And I have to tell you, all right, I have just moved a bit of furniture and let me show you the result. This is public shaming. Hello, everyone. Look at this. I bet you never get anything like that in your house, but it alerted me to remind us that you can get this as a host special just until the end of September. It's just awesome. It's awesome for public shaming, but it's also awesome. It's such a great fibre. So flexi tool that also fits on the floor system. If you haven't got one of these, then you might choose to add it into your arsenal of wonderful things before the end of the month. Right, so there we go. I will put that over there and deal with it later. How have you all been? Have you had a good week? I hope you have. And today we are going to deal with your questions. I've been overwhelmed, all right? Because, not overwhelmed, but overwhelmed with your response, with all your queries and your questions. So much so that I think we're going to have to do 2 weeks. And so next week, we're going to take a break from that because the lovely Chris Rippon, who is on here tonight, all the way from Australia, she and I are going to do a live together next week. Now, I see, Chris, that I can actually bring you on camera. But we think that we're going to do it via Zoom because we think it will be a little bit more. We think that we need just a little bit more stability. So you will probably be able to comment in the comments, but I might not be able to respond to them till afterwards, if that makes sense. We will see how it all works. Have you had any ENJO wows like this? Shame. This week, all right? And if you have, then I would love to hear what that is. Yes, I would love to visit you down under. If only they would open that up, Chris. I would love to. That sounds like a jolly nice thing to be doing. Tell me about any of your ENJO wows, and then I think we're just going to kick off with the questions. We will get as far as we get today, and have no fear, they will all get answered, not next week, but the week after. And everybody who sends in a question, you will go in a prize draw. I think we're going to have to do 2 because we have this many this week and then we've got them next week. So, well, not next week, the week after. So you will be in a prize draw for one of these little beauties, exfoliating pad. All you need to do, send in a question, or you can type as a question while we're going along today. Or you can also, if you're on catch up, you've still got time because it will run until next Monday, and then I will do the prize draw when I have the lovely Chris with me, which I'm very excited about, in case I haven't mentioned. So let's start at the beginning. I've got various bits and pieces that I would love to be able to cover tonight, and then we will do, as I said, a little bit more in a couple of weeks as well. So first of all, first question, someone said, and I've tried to put them in a bit of an order. All right, so it says, I know they are all made in Austria because you tell us, but is that the whole process, or is it like, I love this, one of those scams where it says British, but that just means it's packed here? Good question. All right, so are they really Austrian, or is it one of those sort of labelling fudgy things that means they're not really? all right, but they're really outsourced somewhere else, and you just bring them back to Austria and shove them in a cardboard box, and then we know that they're from Austria. No, they are all made in Austria, completely, all of it. So whether that's the tools, whether it's the fibre process, and I've had the great privilege of going, I think Chris probably has as well, of going to Austria and seeing the ENJO process, see the ladies working with the fibres and going round the factories where they make those fibres. So everything, the raw materials, the processing, the manufacturing, the shipping, everything is from Austria. So why is that important? Well, it's important because ENJO can control the process. They know then that they are all made 100% carbon neutral, which is incredible. Everything's made with green electric. It means that all of the component parts, those manufacturers, the people who make the poles, the people who are making the fibres on the big rolls are then cut up, all of that process means that it's done in relationship, and two, we know what the quality is, and we know that there's been no child labour involved in that. And everything, if we do go and visit, so I've just said that we've had the opportunity to go out to Austria and go and see the fibres made. ENJO also offset everybody's carbon footprint by planting trees in Nicaragua. All right. Hi, Catherine. Nice to see you. So when it says made in Austria, all right, it is 100% made in Austria. So that gives you real confidence. You know that it's been a real quality product. So great question. Question number one. Oh, thank you very much. Right. Next question. Ooh, I like this one too. And this is probably really pertinent for you, Chris, because I remember you saying that water was more expensive than fuel in Australia. So, ENJO fibres clean with just water, but don't you say that we save water by using ENJO? So how does that work? Great question. Right, so ENJO fibres clean with water, but you say that we save water using ENJO, so how can that possibly work? Well, let's think about our chemical cleaners that we might use. What's the first thing that we usually do? So if we had gone to get flash out of the cupboard, what might we do? Usually we dilute it. So that uses water in the first instance. And then, because of the way that chemicals work and because we have the residue and we're trying to get rid of it, then we need to rinse off all of the surface as well. Because ENJO is mechanical, because we are doing the wet, the wipe and the dry behind, and it's a mechanical clean all the way through, then we don't need to rinse because it's just water. And therefore you can save up to 50% on your water bill. Now, we're not metered, but if you are metered for your water, that's quite important. Right, so you can save 50% of your water consumption by using ENJO to clean rather than using a chemical to clean. It's amazing, isn't it? And let me tell you a little story. So, I used to, before I had ENJO, wash up with hot water. Very hot water, because what I hated was anything kind of lukewarm on my hands when I was washing around. Then we got ENJO and I started using, oh, let's get into my little bag of goodies. I started using my all-purpose cloth to wash up with. And I was using cold water to do that. So when I was using my cold water to clean, the only thing that I then had to do at the end of it was wash out my all-purpose cloth. All right, so now I didn't need bucketfuls of hot water. I just needed enough hot water that what I would be doing would be washing out my fibres. Okay, that was it. That's all I needed to do. And what we have had happen is we had our electric bill go down. And I know we're not alone, because I know, talking to some commercial users, people in hotels and B&Bs and guest houses, that their water bill, their electric consumption to heat their hot water also went down. So that's another saving. It's amazing, isn't it? So not only are we managing to save water, but we're also conserving our ongoing electric. top question. I loved it. Right, next one. I know that they last 3 years. How do we know that they last 3 years? Well, if you remember, if you have this version fibre, like this is our G4 fibre. This just has a little bit of a dust fibre on it still, because it's brand new. There we go. All right, so if you have a fibre like this, we call this G4, generation 4. If you have one that doesn't have one of these on, then it's going to be about 6 years old now. All right, and we know that our fibres generally last 3 years. Now, the reason why we put this on illustrates the fact that you might still have another one in your cupboard, because the fibres don't necessarily look worn out at the end of their life. We needed to let you know away easily that you can see that they're not necessarily doing that 6 times more bacteria pickup that they do right at the beginning. All right, because they just get a little bit frayed. And so by the end of year 3, they are about 88% as effective. And then after that, they kind of go off a cliff down to about 44%. But this gives you, all right, a really good indication of where your fibre is at. Okay, so when this little black bit up here turns to this colour, and it's not necessarily precisely that colour, all right, but it might be that it looks a bit like this. Okay, so you can see there, and I can tell just by feeling the fibre that maybe it's just not going to have quite as much life in it. All right, so the 3-year life expectancy is just there, but all of our fibres and all of our tools have a 2-year warranty against faulty workmanship. Now, what might that look like? Well, I get things returned so rarely that it's hard to say, well, this generally happens. But sometimes it's just been that a tiny little bit of the binding has been missed. But all of the fibres are inspected before they leave ENJO, okay? So all of them are looked at by hand twice. And in fact, when I went with Chris, that was right, of course, that's where we met. I'm so sorry. God, my head is like a sieve today. Right. In fact, when I went, I remember asking Rudy, who is the production manager, you know, what's your spoilage rate? And he looked at me like I had 2 heads. I said, well, what is the spoilage rate that you have? And he said, oh, it's like 0.005%, because the ladies are so accurate in sewing because everything's done by hand. They've got incredible skills because many of them have been there for years, which I think is a real testimony to the company stability and the relationship that the employees have with ENJO. And so the amount of fibres that actually don't get through double inspection is very, very rare, and then it might just be that there's a tiny little bit that's been missed. So 2 years for that to rear its head and show. Danielle, let's answer your question as we go. Do you know what? That's a brilliant question. What's the most popular zone that people buy? Well, tell me what is the first zone that you bought. Maybe tell me that. That would be really interesting to know, Danielle, what's the first zone that you bought? And anybody else, what is the first zone that you bought? I think that's really interesting. People buy all sorts of things for all sorts of different reasons. If I picked one off the top of my head, I would say that lots of people start with the bathroom. All right, now I can't give you ENJO statistics. There you go, you see, I'm on the money. Right, window and then bathroom. So usually we buy the thing, I still love the kitchen too, it's fantastic, isn't it? We buy things usually for the area that is causing us the most trauma. All right, so I see that you bought your windows first, probably because that was the area that was really getting to you, or the bathroom because that's the area that you really hate cleaning. Or the kitchen, because maybe you're in the kitchen all the time. I still remember doing your kitchen, Sarah. Or we've got troublesome skin. And or I just want all of it. All right, that's the problem. It's about where to start, which is great when ENJO brought out their payment plans. So it depends really what you have, I would say, the biggest relationship with when you see it, or the one that you like cleaning the least. But I think the bathroom shows such amazing results, and the thought that all of those chemicals that you've been using can instantly get ditched, well, that's a winner. That is a complete winner in my book, and it's usually the place that we are most chemical heavy. And then often when we've started there, then why would I want to be getting rid of all the chemicals in the bathroom and have that lovely shine, but then go into my kitchen and spray chemicals over the place where I'm going to put all my food? So kitchen and bathroom kind of happen in quite quick succession, or people often go for that triple pack that there is that gives you kitchen, bathroom and living. And I think that's really popular because it gives us most of our living areas, and then people might often host a demo to be able to get their floor system with a reduced fibre. So that really works. That is brilliant, Daniel. I bet that feels awesome that you haven't got any chemicals there. I bet that feels brilliant. Right, so I love that question. Right, next one. Okay, I know I should know this. This is what the question says. I know I should know this, but is ENJO antibacterial? Right, so can anyone help me with that? I know I should know this, but is ENJO antibacterial? Good question. Right, so while you're tapping, I will answer and we can see what you think. So is it antibacterial? No, it's not antibacterial. If you remember, we are not trying to kill something on the surface. ENJO is a mechanical clean. And so with our fibre, right, so I've got a little kitchen one here. So my kitchen glove and ENJO fill replaces all that scooshy antibacterial general gunky spray that I'm using. And how does that work? Well, the water acts like a solvent and it wakes the fibres up. And if you remember, though the fibres are all different for different zones, what they all have in common is each one of them is 1/100th of a thickness of human hair. And what the cold water does is it enables the fibre to get down into the pores and crevices and pull out the dirt and bacteria, and it holds it locked in the glove. Right, so the difference is we're not trying to kill it on the surface, we mechanically remove it from the surface, but we know there's no transference. And you know that, and if you haven't, then have a little look on my YouTube channel at the butter test, and what that does is you can see that it physically picks up the dirt and it traps it in this fibre, and it stays trapped in the fibre until you release it with hot soapy water. Perfect. It will only grow on a damp surface, so we dry behind. Wet wipe, dry behind. These two are always mirrored together. Bathroom, yes, Evelyn, it's so great, isn't it? In fact, I was cleaning the bathroom today, and I have to say the trap had not been done for a wee while in the bathroom, because although the bathroom is the girls' job to clean, and how brilliant that I can put my girls in the bathroom and I know that they're completely safe, right, because it's only water, so they're cleaning away in the bathroom, but they don't like to pick up the nasty trap and clean around there. So there was a little bit of pinkness around the trap, so I picked that up, went round with the glove, job done, instantly done. And it's just so satisfying because you walk out the bathroom and it looks like a showroom every single time. Good choice, Evelyn. Right, moving on, next question. Oh yes, I love this one. Okay, so I love them all. Do I spray the surface that I want to clean, or do I wet the glove? Now, what do you do? Do you spray the surface that you're going to clean, or do you wet the glove? Now, let's talk about that. So let's take my kitchen as an example, because it's somewhere that I am all the time. Like Sarah Campbell is saying, it's the zone. I just love it because I'm in the kitchen a lot. Let's look at these three fibres here. You spray the surface. I do too, Danielle. So this glove here If you look at some of the videos that have been done by our lovely Australian counterparts, they run this glove under a cold tap and they roll it and squeeze it before they start to clean. Now, one, it's a lot hotter, but also the reason why that is shown on a video is because you could accuse them of having anything in a spray bottle. But if you can see the glove go under the water and then straight onto the surface, you know that it's cold water. For me, if I put my glove under the tap and even if I roll and squeeze it, it is too heavy and I don't like the feel of it on my hand. All right, there's too much water sloshing about. So when I use my glove, I always spray the surface. Remember, all right, the dirtier it is, the more water you will need. So I've been saving my cooker hood for a little live that I'm doing on Wednesday, and it's really, really, really manky. See what I do? All for the sake of a good demo. All right, so it's really horrible. You know that horrible sticky, real sticky, greasy dirt. So I will need a little bit more water, and actually colder water, to enable the fibre to lift up. All right, but I will still spray the surface. However, oh, and then dry behind. However, this little Herbert here, right, my all-purpose cloth that lives by my sink, invariably it's already damp when I come to use it, because I will have wiped around in the morning, rinsed it out, hung it up over the tap, and then when I come to grab it again, usually it's damp already. So then I just need to grab it and wipe around. So it kind of depends on what I'm using, and I might then still need to spray the surface if I'm going at a little distance. All right, but this one, I might even sometimes run it under the tap because, of course, this one we can wring out, so it's really familiar. But if I'm using my glove, then I need to roll it and squeeze it, so it's just a bit heavier to be able to get the water out. So hopefully that answers the question, and it leads me on to another one really quite swiftly. So where is this, because I want to read it out properly. Right, what happens if I use my kitchen all-purpose cloth, and when I've rinsed it in warm water and wrung it out and it's basically warm, do I have to wait for it to cool down before I can use it again? Right, so what I would say, yes, I spray the surface too. It's good to be able to control the amount of water. I totally agree, Chris. This little one, right, it's really important when we use a fibre, if we open up the fibre, that we shut it again. So when you use your all-purpose cloth, so I would have done my dishes, wiped around the surface in the morning, breathed a sigh of relief that everybody's out the house for at least 3 or 4 hours. Right, then I have this by my sink with a little pump. So I would pump maybe 2 squirts on here, and I would rinse that out under hot soapy water. All right, and then I rinse it clear. So it's really important in the rinsing process that I rinse it clear. But then I put it under the cold tap. All right, so why do I do that? I do that so that the fibres shut again. And that means that they are locked and ready to use. So when you've rinsed out your cloth, remember, give it a spark under the cold tap, cool it down. Remember this one, you can wring it out, you hang it over your tap that way, because that means that the water falls down the fibre rather than get stuck in the fibre bed. And then it should be nice and cold and locked and ready for you to go again. Okay, so this one, always lock it up again. And if I was going to wash something out by hand that I wanted to do to use again, I would do the same again. Right, do you know what? We've only got 5 minutes. I have questions coming out my ears here. This is great. Oh, so excited. Right, I'm just going to tick that one off because I've done it. Right, next one. Let's talk about, well, on the washing then. Let's carry on that theme. So a question of how often do I wash my fibres, and what happens, for instance, if they were in the washing machine inadvertently with something that sounds like fold? Right, so the question really is, 1, how often do I wash them? And 2, what happens if they have inadvertently been involved with something with fabric conditioner? Well, let's talk about the washing first. So for me, kitchen fibres, as soon as I've used them, because I've gone all the way around the kitchen and my kitchen's pretty manky by the time I've done that, these ones for me go straight in the machine. All right, so that's what I would do with my kitchen fibres when I've used them once a week. So off they go. Okay, next one. Well, let's talk about my bathroom stuff. If I've used my glove and my ENJO fill in the bathroom, then I would also usually put that into the wash. But this one hangs by my sink in the bathroom during the week, the bathroom duo cloth. Okay, and I don't always, I just wipe around quickly on the basin, and I sometimes just hang that one back up, and then I'll use it again because it's not got warm. All right, it's only got cold, so the fibres are already shut, so I can wipe around, lock, and I can go again. Now, that was also a question regarding this one, because we used this quite a lot at the beginning of lockdown when we were all cleaning, maybe upping the ante a little on the cleaning. And I was using this on my door handles when we still had some people coming in and out, but just wanting to make sure that everything was deep pore cleaned with a little bit of soap to be able to break the lipid structure of the COVID virus. And so I had a little bit of soap on here, and I would wash the handle and dry it with the other side. Now, I didn't put that into the machine all the time because it's already cold. And maybe at the end of the day, then I would go and wash it. All right. But moving on, let's talk about other fibres in the living zone. Well, this one here, my textile glove, I tend to use that for something specific, like vomit on the carpet. So when I've done that, that always goes in the machine. But my living soft cloth, like my wipe around duster, if you have a look there, you can probably see it's got some grey on it. Right, so that's just general dustiness. I've been using that through the week, and I will just continue to make a surface damp and wash with it, and maybe put that in at the end of the week. So a general sort of like caveat is, if it's really dirty, I might go and wash it there and then, like my kitchen stuff. If it could go back in, get dry, and then be used again, I might do that. So it kind of depends on what you're doing. If it's been in fabric softener, you can tell if it's still working because the ENJO fills will absorb or the glove will pick up. If it doesn't pick up, then you may find that you can remedy it by giving it a soak in this. All right, and you may well find that a quick soak in our washing up liquid will just break down that fabric softener, and you will find you are good to go again. Okay, right, it's sad that we have to finish, but I promise, not next week, because next week we're going to be talking to Australia, but the week after I will continue with your questions. So still keep on sending them in because this is fantastic. I love it. And we will just keep on going until we have covered all your queries. I've got loads here, so apologies if I haven't got to yours today, but I will get to it. It will happen. And next week, you can join me live because I am going to be talking to the lovely Chris, who's going to be sharing a little bit about her ENJO journey. If you still want one of these, so you can get that out from under your sofa, like I have under mine, then you just have another couple of weeks to grab that as a host. So don't miss out on that one. And remember, you have until the end of the month to grab this amazing set that gives you some kitchen and some bathroom and a dust fibre too. You haven't seen the dust cloth in Australia? It's my favourite thing, Anita. I love it. It's just amazing. It's just like a little dust pad. Come back in 2 weeks and have a look. Right, lovely, lovely people. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for all of your questions. And I'm so glad you've got on. I love it, Chris. I love it, Catherine. It's such a great pack. Have a fantastic week. I will see you next week, and we will be on Zoom. So it will be streaming live, which I think means that you will be able to comment, but I might not be able to see your comments until after. So just a little warning there. Have a great week. Stay safe. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you next week with Chris. Cheers. Bye-bye.